Y'all, my name is Aisha Hall, and I'm here right now at Direct Deposit with my boy DJ Shuttle. Hey.
Ashes, it's Aisha Hall, and I'm back, bitches. And your queen's back, with them other bitches. I sit them down, teach them chess, show them class, so they don't look like clowns. With a rats, line them up, make them tell on each other, get the strap. Matter of fact, get all these niggas' daughters, fuck that. I'ma smack, fire out all these bitches. Rap is cool, but it's other ways I get my bitches. Get the tool, get the semi, or you could get the Mac. Point them out for all these snitches. Gotta get the strap, what's going on? My nigga, everybody's soft now. You on the block, but was a witness in your man's trap. Funny style, thought you was a stand-up guy, till I read all of the statements in your PSI. So I set him up. Tell him, ooh, baby, I want some toppy. Use his tongue, real smooth, he know I like it sloppy. Call the Akis, real killers, don't try to stop me. Blow you to pieces, nigga, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Real rap, tap, tap, nigga, go get the strap. Real rap, tap, tap, nigga, go get the strap. Real rap.
Yo, what up, what up? You know what it is, man? We here live, Direct Deposit, our premiere episode. Thank you for logging in, checking out the show. Brought to you by DJ Shuttle Team Incredible, In the Loops, and Central Station. And our very first guest, the one and only Miss Aisha Hall.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Entrepreneur, author, and MC, amongst many things. Thank you for coming to the show. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
I couldn't think of anybody better for the premiere episode, as we want to highlight and focus on people from Long Island and people that are really working and got great stories to tell.
Oh wow, thank you. I'm flattered, you know, because I love telling my story, you know, especially talking to real people that are staples in the neighborhood and in the community. So that's what's up.
Yeah, Central Station working hard, DJ Shuttle working hard. In the Loop,
I see you.
In the Loop working hard, you know. So we want to make sure that we continue to get these platforms though for our people from the island, you know. And this show is definitely very much inspired by our brother Craig Herron, who you know, paved the way a lot for me in terms of the media. And since he's no longer with us, and there's been a void we saw in the media outlet, opportunities for artists, entrepreneurs, DJs, and so forth in the island. DC and I, we talked about it. We said, yo, we got to do something for the artists. And so
it's like paying tribute. So.
Absolutely. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't even be doing it. So anyway, Miss Aisha Hall, Direct Deposit is where we get directly to the point. We get direct to the source, the information, and that's why we got you here. So, like, you know, I've seen a lot of interviews, and you know, we're gonna talk about like some of your experience being, you know, locked away and all that. But what I haven't really heard a lot about is kind of like your background before that, because it's like I look at like, you know, like Black history, right? In America, when we go to school, history starts with slavery, right?
Right.
And it's like, well, what the fuck happened before slavery? Like, you know, we was around before slavery, and I felt like, you know, this would be a great opportunity to kind of like tell people a little bit more of your story, because you're more than the woman that was locked up for 10
Absolutely.
years.
I appreciate that you even acknowledged that. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I'm from Roosevelt, Long Island. You know, Strong Island, exit 21.
Believe that?
Absolutely, 100%. Rep it all day. And I'm proud to be from Roosevelt. We have a lot of history here. You know, we have Dr. J's from Roosevelt.
Believe that.
You know what I'm saying? You got Public Enemy from Roosevelt. I mean, it's small, you know, who else?
Eddie Murphy.
You know, you have this small square mile, and so much greatness has come out of this area. So I'm just trying to be one of the greats to come out of this area, you know. But I definitely have an interesting start. You know, I will say.
Let me lead you in.
Okay.
Your family, where's your family from?
My family is from Roosevelt. My mom is from Roosevelt. She went to school here, you know, was pretty much born here in Nassau County. My dad is from Jamaica, West Indies.
I heard the music, right? And I said, it was a record. I can't remember the name of the song, but I heard a record and I was like, oh, she sounds like she's true West Indian. Like, she's not like using the auto-tune or faking it. Like, it sounds kind of authentic.
Right.
And so I wasn't like totally surprised that he just say that.
Yeah, that's my roots actually, is reggae. My dad was a reggae artist, and when I first grabbed the mic, I was probably like 4 or 5 years old. You know, my father was doing shows with Public Enemy.
Wow.
You know, just being who he was, this Prince Colin, you know, he was very well known in the street, very respected, and was definitely a music head. So that's how I got my introduction to music. And it's also how I got my introduction into being such a hustler.
We're gonna get into that.
Okay.
We're gonna definitely get into that. But the music, so 4 or 5 years old, you're grabbing the mic, you're at shows, you're in studios. So you really, for anybody that thinks Miss Aisha Hall just started like 2 years ago, there's a history that goes back to a little youth.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Right?
got my first mixtape was released from this store, from Central Station. You know, so I've been doing music for a long time. But as a kid, you know, I grew up in music. Like
Right.
all my father did really was hustle and make music. That's it. So I was exposed to the money, you know, and I was exposed to the music, and I literally mirrored that. You
Absolutely.
know? So all day, I mean, just keeping it 100, I grew up in a kind of a family house / trap house. There was
Right.
people in and out of there all day, money moving all day. And most of the exchanges happened in the same room where the music was playing. So you have this loud music going on, you know, my father on the mic recording, I'm right there watching and taking all of this in.
Wow.
So that was really like my introduction into this whole music money life.
I got you. So, so at what point did you go from being a little young girl, like kind of being introduced to it, to saying, oh, this is something I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this?
I think it's when my father started taking me when I was probably like 7 or 8 to shows with him,
Okay.
where he's, you know, it's mad weed smoking going on, you know, a bunch of grinding going on, and here I come with him. He gets on the mic, and then he's like, he stops the whole party and passes me the mic.
Wow.
So it was like, people was getting frustrated at first, like, this little kid in here.
Right.
And I grabbed the mic and I started killing it.
Nice.
And it was like, okay, I could do this. Like, it just became, I can't really think of a time that I didn't do music, that I wasn't into music. Like, it's really no start. It like always was, you know what I'm saying?
Wow, that's amazing. That's an amazing story. I would have never knew that. So it's like this is all you know.
That's all I know. I mean, all I know. The only part that I did not take from him was like, there was a time, one day I came home and there was like a guy and he was tied up on the kitchen table because he stole from him. You know, stuff like that. I don't like guns. I don't like violence, any of that stuff. But what I did learn was hardcore values about, you know,
Penalties for actions.
yeah, you know, like if you have respect for somebody or you have a situation with somebody, keep it 100, or else this is what happens.
Right.
So even though I wasn't with that, people knew that if you cross her, you got a force to deal with, you know. So yeah,
So they dealt with you accordingly.
accordingly.
Yeah. So tell me about like life in Roosevelt growing up back in those days, like aside from the home side, like just in the streets and, and school and what was going on with you as a young girl growing up on the island.
Well, Roosevelt, you know, people really don't understand Strong Island. They hear Long Island and they think rich white people a lot of times. They don't know that where you have these collections of black people, it's the same struggles no matter where you're from.
Right.
And Roosevelt, you know, back in the day, Nassau Road used to be crazy. And when I was a kid, you know, my father was heavy in the street, and I was always with him. I'm in the stroller, and you know, he got his work in the bottom of the stroller, and it got really bad one time because he actually got shot in his chest.
Wow.
Right here in Roosevelt, and had the stroller, was like on his way to come and get me. So, you know, I remember going to the hospital, seeing him, thinking he was gonna die. You know, I was little, but I remember vividly, and I just remember, you know, Roosevelt just being crazy, bad reputation for just drugs and violence, you know. So I grew up right on Mansfield.
Okay.
You know, it was a dead end right behind Western Beef, and it was just a rough area at the time. And I just remember, like, damn, like, nobody thought you would be saying, I gotta get out of Roosevelt, you know, because that was something my mother used to say, because it was just so crazy back in the day. But, you know, I grew to love my town and the people, and it's just something that has always been with me. I'm just a Velt villain, you know?
Velt villain. Now I actually got family from the Velt too. Yeah, from down on Cumberland.
Oh,
from,
okay.
Like they from the 50s. So my mom's moved out here. I always went to the Velt like every weekend. You know.
Velt was popping.
Velt was definitely popping. You know. So let's fast forward a little bit. You know. So you mentioned like you know you saw the whole hustling lifestyle, and you know. You learn what to do, what not to do, how to respect the codes, like things like that, you know. So at what point did you start the hustle, and like what was your first hustle of choice?
Man, my first hustle was selling beer at Jones Beach.
That's a hustle.
That was my first hustle.
That's a hustle.
That was my first hustle.
So at what event or just any particular weekend,
No, I
any
used to
particular
actually
day?
work there. I used to work there. at the concession. I was
Okay.
really young, probably like 14.
Oh, so you were selling to the young people.
So no, actually I wasn't. They had a 2-drink minimum.
Oh, okay.
I mean maximum.
Okay.
So you could only get 2 beers, and they came in like cups like this big. So the bikers would come up there. You know, it would be like 30 of them, and they'd always want beer. And once we gave them 2, that
That's
was it. So you know, I started stashing beer in the cut. You know, worked out a situation where they would pay me a flat fee, and I just, you know, hook them up with unlimited beer. You know.
See, and that's the thing. It's like, you know, people associate like hustling sometimes, like a hustle mentality, like in a negative connotation, right? But you know, hustling is like you gotta
Working
hustle.
hard.
It's just working
It's going
hard,
hard.
finding ways to make the dollar. That might not have been totally legal, but that wasn't like no super crime. You know what I
But there's
mean?
legal hustlers.
There's legal
a
hustlers,
hustler
too.
is a person that just is relentless with making money.
Right.
Whether you find a legal hustle or whether it's an illegal hustle, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change the category of you being a hustler or not. So
And like to your current success now, how much do you attribute like the things that you learned, just like seeing your dad doing his thing to
all of it.
all of it, right?
All of it, because you know, hustle is not, you know, a lot of times people have it in them.
Right.
But if you look at people who are the most successful hustlers, a lot of times they had something to see,
Right.
something to mirror that hustle from, you know. So I definitely give my pops a lot of credit, you know, because it was learned. I don't know how much of it was natural, because
Right.
it's been always an example for me.
True.
And so on his unfortunate passing.
Right.
But you know, it's just something that has always been a part of me. Just go hard or go home.
I had that example too. My mom, she doing FIT. She used to run the Susus.
Oh yeah.
You
She
know,
from the island?
Nah.
No,
nah.
because Susu was like an island
It's-
thing.
Yeah, well, I think she did get it from my grandfather, who is from Barbados.
Okay,
So
okay,
I think
okay.
that's how she got put onto it. But then she used to run it. She ran the Susu, FIT, sewing clothes, nails, Amway. Like this, so this is all I know. Real estate. So
Okay.
you know, so when I started doing my hustle, that's like all I know, because that's my mom's did everything.
Right.
So fast forwarding, you know, you started to record, making music. About what age?
I started recording. Well, my first recording was background on some of my pop's music, so
Right.
I was familiar with the studio. But then I was probably, I want to say like 13, 14. That's when I first started really doing. I was about 12, no, because I was in 7th grade, and I started doing ciphers. It would be like guys outside of the school, outside of Roosevelt, you know, and they standing around, they rapping. And I'm
Now
like,
we talking about middle school or high school?
this is middle school.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm like, let me jump in there, you know, and they looking like, what? You know? And I'm like, let me jump in there, and I would jump in the cypher and start spitting with the guys, and could hold my own. It was like, oh shit, Shorty could really rap. Like, she not playing. You know, it wasn't bubblegum rap, it was bars. You know, they was
Right.
like, oh shit. So that just kind of followed me, and my reputation grew from that, you know. And then I was like, you know what, I want to put something out. So I think I was about 19 when I put my first mixtape out.
Okay.
And that was dope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And what's the
life
name?
lessons.
Life lessons.
Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna assume you didn't always go by Aisha Hall. What was your rap name?
It's kind of funny. Old girl.
Old girl.
Old girl.
So why they call you old girl?
You know what? I got that name from DC. You know, like it was just like I said it in a song, and you know I said something about it, something like I'm your old girl, and he said stop. That's your name right there, old girl, because you just got this old soul, you know, and you just old girl. Like, so I was like, okay.
That's a fly name. That's a fly name. So you put the first mixtape out at 19. So what's popping as far as you as an artist at that time, like shows, you know, impact in the streets and stuff like that? Talk to me about
Yeah,
that.
so I had like a mixtape release party, and it went really well.
Mhm.
You know, people came, they copped the mixtape. I started doing shows in Manhattan, you know, just showcasing my talent,
Right.
my own original beats that my brother, who unfortunately also was passed away, he was my producer. So we was going to the city, and I was getting on the mic and getting, you know, just familiar with, you know, the whole rap thing.
Right.
Transitioning from kind of like my reggae thing I was doing with my dad. And it was just fire. Like, people was feeling me. They felt my delivery. And Remy actually had just started releasing music around that time, at least to the world.
Right.
And I was getting a lot of comparisons to her back then. You know, and the only thing I think I was missing was like they all had their crews, like,
Right,
and I kind
right.
of moved dolo. So, you know, that was around that time, you know.
Got you. Well, so you put the mixtape out. They feeling you in the streets. Now, what's happening with you personally outside of the music at that time? Like, you know, it's like you working, you hustling. Like, what's
Yeah,
happening?
I was definitely working and hustling.
Right.
I was actually in college. I went to college on a track scholarship. Like I always was competitive, athletic, try to keep myself
So
up.
you ran track at Roosevelt?
So I ran track at Roosevelt for 1 year, and then I switched to Freeport.
Okay.
And you know, I really excelled in track. You know, I was like going to state championships. I was like the youngest person to ever. I was 12 years old running varsity.
Nice.
You know, I was probably the same height I am now at 12. So I was, you know, just, you know, doing big things. Like everything I do, I try to just go hard, you know. And track was like my first real competitive sport. So it was like I learned that I liked to win, you know. And I also learned what hard work, what the results would be.
Right.
You know, I put in that work and practice, and then when I got on the field in a race, you know, I excelled. So I just kind of applied that to my whole life.
And what were you running? What was your specialty?
I was running the 400-meter hurdles.
Okay.
And the 100-meter hurdles.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
so
like my main event.
leaping over shit.
Leaping over shit. Now I'm leaping over bitches. You know what I'm saying?
I heard you. We got bars and you leaving over at the same time. So, man, that's really interesting. So, like that competitive, that drive, you know, it's funny you mentioned that because, you know, like I see it, like in the stuff that I see you doing out here, and when I see like a lot of female MCs, whether it's ones I've met with or I see them in the game from a distance, I've always felt like, you know, part of why more females don't make it is the drive and the competitiveness is, you know, that women, generally speaking, not to say that it's all women, of course not, but that generally speaking, women are not like driven by that level of competitiveness.
Right.
You know?
Well, it's competitiveness, but it's not about the music. It's more about your image and your look and your body and all of that. It's not, that competitiveness is not put into the lyrics. It's not put into the songs. It's more put into, you know, all of this.
Right.
And after, you know, when people are listening to you on the radio, they don't see you.
Right.
You know, if they're listening to you without visually seeing you, you have to be able to stand behind the music, not just your looks. And I noticed that a lot of the female rappers are so focused on their looks because they want to win by sex appeal, not necessarily by rap skills. And that's where I separate myself because I really try to master my craft and not just come in as a sex symbol. Yeah, you should look good. You know what I'm saying? You want to look good when you're performing and just period, caring about, you know, your image. But you still should be a real MC. And that's why it's a lot of females in the rap game that I just don't respect. Like, I just think, like, I'm not here to model. I'm here to rap, you know? And at the end of the day, they just don't live up to that MC status for me. They come as, like, strippers that know how to rhyme some words. And,
it's some female DJs, you know, out here on this tip, too. Female DJs just wearing clothes revealing, and they can't even DJ.
Right.
So
it's watering down the art, you know? So I don't knock nobody's hustle, but it's making it difficult for people who really have, because it's like now they're looking for that and not actually looking for, you know, the Laurens out there, you know, who never took nothing off. Now I'll get sexy, but I'm just not gonna just go bucket. You know what I'm saying?
And you know, it's funny you say that because I think you, from what I've seen, you know, you definitely drawn a great line of, you know, sexy as hell but classy.
Right.
You know, like you right on the line, and that's good because, I mean, of course, you know, there has to be some appeal.
Right.
But you don't want to do too much either.
Right. Well, you know why it's easy for me? Because first of all, I rap about a lot of boss shit. But I'm not a fake boss. You understand? Like, I've earned my real boss status. Like, you know, a lot of people are rapping to try to become that boss. I'm the boss who's trying to rap. It's a difference. You know, I'm not even gonna say trying. The boss who raps. You know.
I heard you.
So at the end of the day, the authenticity in my music makes it easy for me to be. You know, thank you for calling me classy. But it's already who I am. I don't have to pretend about nothing. Everything is just real shit. And that's what separates me from, I think, some of these other people, you know, because people rap about experience, you know, and you hear like some of the new female music is about getting niggas for their money or getting over. I talk about you know, setting up wealth, getting money without having to necessarily manipulate or use. Just earning it the right way. Well, I shouldn't say the right way, but earning it in a way where you can't say like it wasn't, you know, from your own skill set.
Right.
You know.
You earned it.
You earned it.
With your hard work.
Square, with your hard work.
Your hard work.
With your hard work. Anybody could, you know, try to manipulate somebody to get something.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking nobody's hustle, but I'm just saying when I spit,
right,
it's real and it's based on my actual experience. And that's what makes it easy for me to not be naked, because I know they're going to resonate with that realness and it's something different.
I hear that. So you talked about being a boss and the boss shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got the mixtape out, we popping, and now if I think I heard the story right, at one point you had moved out of New York.
Yeah. So I bought a house in Atlanta, you know, and
More bullshit.
And I was young too. I was probably like 20 or something like that.
Right.
And I moved out, you know, to Atlanta, and I kind of lost focus on the music because I had started, you know, going hard as an entrepreneur, setting up this business, that business, and it was getting more and more profitable and beneficial for me and my family. So I was like, yo, I gotta go where, you know, black business is respected, and I chose Atlanta at the time. And while I was there, I just learned more and more and more, and I eventually, you know, started the big business.
Tell me a little bit more about the details of the businesses and stuff you were into in Atlanta.
Okay. So I was, actually before I went to Atlanta, you know, I lived in Hempstead.
Okay.
And I had started a company called Laundry to Go, and I was, you know, basically I got a van and I was picking up people's laundry, washing, drying, delivering it to them.
I need that service right now.
Yeah, that is a dope service, you know. Anything that I saw as a problem-solving thing or something that was like could make people's lives more convenient, I knew I could get paid from it.
Right.
So that was one of the things I did. Then I had a little mortgage school.
Okay.
I was in the mortgage business. I was a loan officer, and everybody would ask me all these questions, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make some money selling what I know, the information.
Absolutely.
So I had my little mortgage school, you know.
And that was in Atlanta also.
That was in New York and Atlanta. And then I also did like a penny saver, my own penny saver. I went to local businesses, you know, and I basically got their business cards and put all their business cards into one little manuscript, and was, you know, distributing that, you know, for a fee. So I just always was hustling, and then I started doing credit repair. I actually still do that now, but I was doing it back then, and that really took off because I did business credit and personal credit repair, and you know, that was kind of my gateway drug into the money game, because credit is money.
True.
So I started meeting all kinds of people with different careers and different hustles, and I was just soaking it all up, you know?
Right. So you were saying, so is that kind of what was a turning point to maybe some of the things that led to the hustles, that led to
hustles, right?
That led to the situations that
Absolutely. You know, especially in the hoods, we hear about the typical careers,
right.
You know, but there's certain things that happen that we have no idea about. You know, when we was fighting for, you know, equal rights, you know, and it was, we got to eat at this restaurant because white people are eating here, we want to eat here too. We want to go to these schools, white people going here. We were doing that, and they was allowing us to do that, but what they were probably hoping and praying for was that we didn't understand the banking system, because that's where the real power comes in. So a lot of the stuff that I was finding out was about the banking system and the financial system in this country, and there's not a lot of blacks on Wall Street or that understand that. So when I found a way to get into that, it was over. You know, when you play in the game of money, you're always gonna make money. Nothing but money's being exchanged. So if you can put yourself in there anyway, you're gonna find a way to make money. And that's what happened with me. I had a guy call me one day who was telling me about trading. Let me sip before this, because this is kind of crazy. He was telling me about trading. I'm like, what's trading? And he was like, it's buying and selling on a large market. So I'm like, all right, make a long story short, I learned, started my own company, and I said, why don't more people do it? And he said, because the requirements are 100 million, 500 million, 50 million. I'm like, what? Who can afford that? Oh no, you don't have to spend that. You just have to have it in the bank. You can spend $1 if you want, but you have to have these amounts in assets in order to qualify. So my brain started working. So if I can find a person with this much, and this person over here needs that much, if I can put them together some type of way, I can. So I came up with, you know, my proof of funds company, and Apogee Financial.
Okay.
And I was basically making people, dressing them up to look like they were worth more than what they were. And that was all legal.
Okay.
And then I started doing favors. So people were like, oh, you know, I can't wait the 2 weeks for you to get all the paperwork together. Can you just do it right now? And I'm just like, I can't. But I only said I can't a few times. When I thought about it, I'm like, it's just paper.
Right.
And I started helping out a few clients look like they were worth $100 million and $200 million when they really weren't, just so they could qualify. But I was getting paid, you know, sometimes $200,000-300,000 per client. So I was walking away with an average of like $1.5 million a month doing that, you know, me and my team. So, you know, changing those documents is what led to me being federally indicted and then going to prison.
So you definitely learned the corporate hustle or the blue collar crime, as they
The white
collar crime, right? Exactly.
Yeah, we was corporate thugging.
and I respect it, because, you know, like, instead of shooting people, instead of robbing somebody, like, let's get it how the people that are really moving the money around in this country are doing it. So let me ask you, just, you know, if you had to do it all again, what do you think? Would you do the same
I'd
thing?
have done the same shit.
That's real
I'd have
shit.
done the same thing.
That's real shit.
Because you can't make experience up. You can read books, you can listen to stories,
Right.
But it's nothing like actually, that time of being able to say I was a millionaire,
Right.
And I could just do what I wanted when I wanted. It's a different experience. It's a different way of living. It's just a different freedom.
Absolutely.
That I don't only want for myself, but for my community and other people, you know, who don't even think along those lines. Just get a taste of it. That's how you're supposed to live. We have this worker mentality and this,
Right.
we have this servitude mentality, and that right there, I was bossed up on a whole different level, and I wouldn't trade that experience, not even for my bid.
Like, these are the type of things that put us in the mind state of ownership, boss, entrepreneurship, like you said, not having a working mentality, which I think, you know, in our community, too many of us just have. So, all right, so you got busted.
I got busted.
Busted, not just busted,
Not
but
just
busted.
But when I say that, I mean money gone. Feds came and took money, cribs. You know, at that time I had purchased like 75 houses. I had, you know, big tractor trailer rigs. You know, I had buildings. Had a lot of stuff going on, trying to diversify. You know.
Right.
And here they come, and they just stopped that whole situation.
So is it since obviously, you know, the case, you went to, you know, the case was dealt with, you did your time, you home.
126 months, 10 and a half years is what I was sentenced to.
We're gonna talk about that, but you're home now. So my question now is, can we talk or can we not talk in terms of details?
Oh, we can talk.
So you said my team at one point. So how does the team? What happens to the entire team? Obviously, you know, you got your 10 years, you did your time. How about the rest of the team? Like, was this a sweep for everyone?
Oh, for everybody.
So everybody's there.
Everybody went down, and they didn't go down really, you know, by choice. They went down as stand-up men. Like, they had the option to tell on me and not be charged. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of people who I did business with who didn't get in any trouble because we were able to stop the buck.
Right.
You know, you had situations where it was like, you know, you can tell or go to prison, and they was like, lock me up. Except for one person, and we could get into that because I, you know, put it all out there. I don't know if you are familiar with him. Can I talk?
Shh, that's why we here.
Oh, okay. So there's someone from Roosevelt Freeport area.
Okay.
Very well known.
Okay.
You know, we went to school together, and he was a banker at the time, and he wanted to, you know, manage some money for me. Saw what I was making, said, "Yo, how can I get on?" So I'm like, I spread love. I'm like, okay, this is what you can do. I'll keep you in the legal capacity.
Right.
Just maybe breaking some rules at your job, but not the law.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was like, okay. So I put this nigga on, and when the people came knocking, he told, okay, you know, that's one thing. But then he went as far as to wear a wire.
Oh, so
you know, again, the
he
rules
did a
are
little too much.
Too much. You know, with this interview, you know, I'm sticking to the rules. You know, no names. If it was
Right.
up to me, I would. But you know, this person ended up wearing a wire and meeting with me, and you know, really like helping
That
the
made it
feds
busted,
along.
busted.
Yeah,
That
made it busted. Excuse me, not just for me, but for my entire team.
You foul.
Yeah, that was foul because they were facing like probation or something, you know, and it was like, damn.
You foul.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look.
Well, I gotta say to have gone through that and to do your time and to still like have this positive energy is great. Like, what do you attribute like being able to like to have that outlook throughout these experiences?
Well, I definitely attribute it to my upbringing, exposed
Right.
to different religions, Hebrew Israelite, Christianity. But later on, I grew up and I realized that I was exposed to that, so that I would know really what not to do. And that was to be a follower of other people's philosophies just because everybody else does it. It has to be something that you can prove is higher than the self. And I had been searching for that, and I really couldn't find anything higher than my intuition, which to me was the God in me. So going through this experience and having that teaching, it was like everything that I do has a purpose if I make it that way, because I'm the ruler of my own universe. So that upbringing allowed me to go into the prison with just like this strength and this understanding and this acceptance of I wasn't depressed, I wasn't crying every day, I was just like, fuck it, this is what I gotta do. And you know, I'm gonna make the best of it. And I got in there, and that's exactly what I did.
And when you went in, was it 15 years and you got out in 10, or was it 10 and you had to do every day?
It was 10 and a half years,
So,
and I got out in 9.
Okay. All right. So good behavior and
Yeah,
all
the
that
feds
kind of
give you the feds you do
90% of the time.
almost 87%. You know, we've been trying to push for the 65% law.
Right.
It's a big rumor. We call it inmate.com. Oh, the law changed today. Every time somebody got sentenced and came in, the law changed, and we all get hopeful that we're coming out. It's not till a couple of years you realize, man, this is some bullshit. Everybody says that.
So speaking of that, I know like you have a clique
Yes.
of ladies that have been through the system, and you've definitely been a positive advocate for women that are locked up. Talk about the clique and some of the things that you're looking to do.
Yeah, while I was incarcerated, me, at the time I was with Shawana King, who's actually like my best friend. She does everything with me. Like she'll style me, she does my hair, makeup, all of that. We met in prison, and we formed a very close friendship, and then she ended up being transferred somewhere else. And you know, when I was writing books and things, and she knew that. So when she got to another prison, she linked with Jamila Davis. And who else was there? I think Sunshine Smith-Williams had also been there. And she was like, you know, you would really probably enjoy talking to my friend who is a writer, who is just, you know, just go get a chick, and I think y'all would mesh well. So Shawana made the introduction to me and Jamila T. Davis, and Jamila transferred to Alderson, and then she connected me with Sunshine. And we just all kind of was like, you know, we all have this background of being like these boss chicks, and we don't really belong here. But let's make this something that can be remembered forever. Like these chicks were here and they made a difference. So we came together and formed a Pink Panther clique, and it was just like magic from there. You know, we put a book together. We did so much. Like there's a lot of members. Like, you know, the founding members though are myself, Shawana King, Brandy Davis. Online she's known as Free Pretty Girl, Shawana. Wanna Got Class, Jamila T. Davis, Sunny Money Queens. You know, we just took every person that could help us, you know, any celebrities we knew, whatever, and we put out Story Well packaged and was like, listen, we need help. We need y'all platforms to help get it out there that women are being locked up at these crazy rates. We don't have no men holding us down. You know, we don't have the things that the men have. I mean, they have it worse in a lot of ways. But women, we're softer. We're that softer species, and we need that support, and we weren't getting it. And we wanted the world to know what was going on. So Pink Panther Clique used our crazy stories to gain attention. We also used our image. You know, you see on TV, these chicks, they have these cornrows and you just kind of look crazy, and everybody has the image of women locked up, and we wanted to change that. Like,
Right.
look at us, we don't look like the typical girls that would be doing a lot of time.
Right.
You know, and that's we just went from there.
Yeah, I saw Yandy supporting the movement and speaking out for the change, and I was like, wow, there's, you know, Pink Panther Clique is really, you know, getting celebrities
Yeah.
on board.
Yeah, Yandy was actually managing the Pink Panther Clique.
Okay.
She wanted to use her platform to get us out there, and then, you know, her husband Mendices
Right.
was doing time, and she just felt a sisterhood, like, damn, you know, my husband's in there and y'all were in there, and it's like, it was just this connection of just going through that struggle.
Right.
So she really took our stories to heart and wanted to help get it out there, and she's actually still doing that. You know, she works a lot with Jamila. They travel all over the country speaking, and it's just a beautiful thing, you know, and people look at, I think that we've definitely put a dent in the awareness of mass incarceration.
No, I gotta tell you for sure, you know, it's not something that I personally, you know, had like an interest in or something that I looked into before, but since your release, since the clique, and, you know, and seeing more awareness on it, it's made it now something that I'm looking into.
Wow, that's dope. That's the whole purpose, you know, that's I love to hear that, because so many people, thousands of women said they've been inspired by us, men too.
And I've seen the comments, like, and, you know, I'm checking your posts, like, about stuff like that, and I'm seeing, like, yo, thank you so much, it's inspiring, and I'm like, wow, like, you know, he's just touching a lot of people out here. I was like, this is why I was like, yo, the rap is cool, and I know they're gonna fuck with it on a rap tip, but it's like they rocking with the person
Right.
first,
Right.
and then we're gonna get to the music, and y'all gonna rock with the music, but they rocking with, like, you know, just a real live woman that's out here doing real things. Now, one thing you touched on, you know, the woman being locked up and not having a man holding them down. How was that for you?
Oh, first of all, well, let me just say this one thing. You know, women give birth, right? I want to mention that. I know you didn't ask that, but like, that was my worst experience in there. Seeing people come in pregnant and being treated no different than just a woman who's in there who's not. You know, somebody's with child and, you know, they're sleeping on hard beds, or they go give birth and they're handcuffed to the bed, you know, shackled. I mean, you're in your most vulnerable state, and there's, you know, guards there, male sometimes, all like in your business and in your physical business. I mean, it was just heartbreaking. And I remember one night being in an open dorm, and this girl had given birth to a preemie, and she had no idea whether her baby was alive, dead. They bring her back, and she just cried all night. And it's like all the women in there were crying, because it's like, damn, she doesn't know anything about her kid. Like, this is crazy. And there was like no sympathy. So that, on top of not having the male support, you know, I met a lot of females who, their guy was already with the next chick, you know, in a couple of weeks before they even got sentenced, before they, you know, or flipping on them, and, you know, and it was just terrible. Like, the first real visualization of that was the mail bags. Mail bags in prison look like Santa Claus bags, right?
Okay.
So, you know, you see the mail bags come in and you get excited, because it's like, oh, you know, all you have is your mail.
Right.
And those big giant bags would never be for the women's unit. It was always for the male unit. And our bags look like deflated balloons. It was like 100 women in one unit, and you got maybe 10 pieces of mail.
Wow.
It's like, what about us, you know? And it was just sad to see the lack of male support. Now, in our brother's defense, if you have, in the feds, if you have a felony, you can't come and visit. So a lot of black men have felonies. So a lot of women, their baby fathers or boyfriends, a lot of times they couldn't come visit them. So it looked even worse because of that. You already have the lack of support, and then you have those restrictions.
Right.
So it would just be like 5, 6 women in the visiting room. When the men visit, it'd be 100 of them in there. So it was baby mamas, girlfriends, side bitches, wives, they all coming. The mamas, you know, with the women, it was like, maybe your mother come, bring your kids, you know. Every now and then you got 1 or 2 guys came, but it wasn't looking good. It was bad.
So, it's direct deposit, and I'm gonna get directly back to that question. 'Cause you gave me everything else, but you didn't tell me about you.
Oh, I had an experience too. I mean, you know, here I am, I'm thinking I'm all that. You know, I'm getting all this money, you know, I'm creative, innovative, I'm cool, I'm laid back. I was dealing with somebody, and I came in there and an OG came to me and said, "Sweetheart, drop your man." And I'm like, "Nah, my peoples are good. Like, I don't know what y'all got going on, but I'm good." She said, "Drop your man." And I didn't listen. And in the beginning, I had somebody who was down and was, you know, holding me down. But as time went on, it got less and less. And I used to get really upset. And she told me, she was like, "I told you." You know, it's just something they just don't hold on. And I went through a lot. You know, I was a leader, so I didn't let it show, but I really went through a lot.
No, going in though, it's like, damn, I got 10 years, 10 and a half, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going in, is your mind state like, yo, he gonna hold me down for 10 years? Or like, where you at mentally thinking about that?
Well, you can't see your out date when you have that much time. So you're not thinking, 10 years. You're having a hard time even accepting that. When it's 2008, 2009, and they talking about 2019 and 18, you know, you're not even seeing that. It seems like you have a life sentence. And, you know, you're so hanging on to whatever it was out in the street, you're not looking that far down. So when somebody says they're there, yeah, you're thinking they're going to be there the whole time because you haven't even calculated the whole time. Right. It's like impossible.
It's one day at a time.
One day at a time, especially when you're going to court. You kind of live court date to court date, not necessarily your out date. So, yeah, I mean, as naive as it may sound, you're thinking, yeah, this person's going to ride with me.
Nah, I mean,
you know?
You got to have something to hold on to, I would imagine.
Right.
You know, so while you doing your time, you start writing, or are you writing before you get locked up?
No, I had never written my books.
Okay.
Yeah, I had never written before, but I remember being at MDC Brooklyn, and I just saw like one of the biggest ways besides playing cards and watching TV to pass the time was reading books, and I remember everybody just passing around these books that were written by Wahida Clark. You know, the Thug series, Thugs and the Women Who Loved Them, Thug Matrimony, and I'm like, what is this? I never read an urban book other than Coldest Winter Ever.
Okay.
So I was like, let me see what this is. And before I read it, I wanted to read about the author. And I found out that Wahida, it says she had been sentenced to 10 years and that she was a New York Times best-selling author. And it was because of money. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Wow. It's my sister.
Yeah. I just got this crazy motivation, inspiration reading that.
Right.
So I read the book with a different energy. And I mean, I probably read all of those books in a matter of days. You know, and I was just like, oh, wow. I said, you know what? I write music. And, you know, a lot of times I tell stories. Why can't I just do an extension of the music and write, you know, a longer version of a 16 instead of 16 bars, 16 chapters, you know? So I started writing, and the ladies really helped me through that because every time I would write a chapter, I'd be like, come on, y'all, let me read it to y'all. Oh, and it got so good.
The proofreading.
Yeah. You know, and it was like, tell me more. So I'm like, okay. So I would go write, and then every day I would read out loud. And then next thing you know, I have 3 full novels. You know, I actually was one long novel. I was able to split it into 3. It was so much. And that was my first book, which is Kima and Lamar, A Ghetto Love Story. At first it was called Boss Life.
Right.
But when I released it, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have the proper editing, any of that. So when I got with a publisher, she said, this is such a good story, but let's re-release it the right way. And I retitled it. And I just went from there, just writing. And then I started hearing so many crazy stories about my prison sisters. I'm like, yo, y'all need to tell y'all story. So I started helping to co-write and sometimes ghostwrite for some of my prison sisters. Like right now, I know I helped Brandy Davis, Free Pretty Girls, with her book. I think she's actually going to try to do a movie or something with hers.
Beautiful.
I helped another lady, Kimberly Smedley. She was in there for illegal butt shots. She was doing butt shots. And she got in trouble for having silicone.
Thanks.
But she did like thousands of celebrities. Was going in the dark room, in the nowhere motels, getting their butt pumped up. So, you know, which was a crazy story. So I had the pleasure of writing that. My best friend, Shawana King, you know, she went to prison for credit card fraud. And she wanted to tell her story. So she basically wrote her manuscript and wanted me to put my professionalism onto it. So I helped rewrite that. So that's getting ready to come out. And it's called Swipe. Dope. So, you know, I've been able to help other people who have been in my situation also tell their stories, which is a big deal because so many people hide that experience that can help others. So these books are helping people. And of course the Pink Panther Click book.
Right.
I wrote that as well with help from Jamila and Sunshine. So, you know, writing was like therapeutic it took us out of prison.
Right.
Gave me something to do, you know.
Yeah. So you have a new book coming out soon, right?
Yes, I have a new book coming out soon. It's so crazy. So I had this pen pal. This guy, his name was Weedy, he's from Baltimore. And we would write, you know, back and forth. And he was like such an eloquent writer. And he's like, you know, I have this book.
Hold on a second. How do you get a pen pal while you're in prison?
You know, everybody's trying to hook somebody up with something. You know, the person I was dealing with had kind of, you know, fell off.
Right,
so
right.
it was just something to do, you know, to pass the time.
Right.
And this guy had a life sentence that recently got changed.
Wow.
So I wanted to kind of inspire him. I read some stuff he had written. I was like, okay, you know, I can help you. You can help me. And he ended up sending me some work. And I was like, let me rewrite this from a female perspective and still keep some of your stuff. So this will be the perfect balanced book. And it's called Baltimore Raw. And it's crazy.
I see that. A
It's
lot of
crazy.
feedback. I'm reading all the comments on it, like online, and
It's
great
crazy.
feedback on that.
Yeah, it's crazy because, you know, I'll never be in that mindset again. I was in prison. So
Right.
I'll never be in that frame of mind. So the way I wrote while I was there and the way he wrote, he did he did 22 years so far, I think, or 23 years. And he did 7 of them in the hole.
Wow.
So he wrote most of it in there. That is a mindset that you can't even put words to it. Just to be in solitude like that for
Right.
7 years.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. So his imagination was insane. So I was able to take that and, you know, infuse all of that. And the book is crazy.
So your new book releases when?
The 9th, July 9th.
So
it's get ready to drop.
Right around the corner.
Right around the corner. Yep, July 9th. They can get that on Amazon as well as on
And
other-
the title of the book again?
Baltimore Raw.
Oh, Baltimore Raw.
Baltimore
New book,
Raw.
July 9th.
Baltimore Raw.
So we're looking forward to seeing that, reading that
Okay.
when that drops. So tell me more about the music now. I know you dropped the mixtape not too long ago, earlier this year.
Yeah. Now I'm getting ready to drop the second one. I'm
Okay.
doing a special. You know, by the time this comes out, I can talk about it a little bit. But it's a special on BET. I'm not really supposed to talk about it. But it's a special on BET that really goes into my story.
Okay.
And I've been trying to coordinate the music with the release of that so I can just kind of use that to help catapult me to the next level. So I'm definitely getting ready to drop some new music. You know, it gets a little bit intimate into my prison experience, my personal life, kind of my mind state while I was there. So I think people will really enjoy it.
Looking forward to it. I'm still, banging that sweaty joint though. sweaty definitely get the clubs lit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's when I get to that next level, I'm never gonna forget them.
Well, I think you already on the way to the next level. For somebody that's only been on for 2 years. I mean,
Not even. It's like 19 months. I'm
between
on.
one tape out, another tape on the way. BET's coming. I mean,
Lifetime situations are being talked about. Me and my sisters, we got good stuff going on.
Well, I definitely want to wish you the best.
Thank you.
Continued success in advance because you're doing great things. I think the sky's the limit for you. Making Long Island look real good out here.
But can I say something to Long Island? Like, Long Island got to come out and support. I'm in the boroughs all the time because the boroughs support me.
Right.
But my hometown, like Strong Island, Long Island, like I've been here for a long time. My father, who unfortunately was murdered while I was in prison, put a lot of work in. A lot of people coming to me like, yo, if it wasn't for your pops, I don't know where I would be. He put me on. Regardless of what he was doing, he always put people on. And I learned that because I always try to put people on. I learned that from him. So it's just like, just come show love,
Right.
Show some support to this little Roosevelt girl trying to, do something positive. Because it's really hard to bring Long Island people together. And I feel like when I'm at a show and I shout out Strong Island, I don't hear enough of that in the crowd. And I don't want to shout out any other place more than I shout out my own place where I grew up. So
Nah, that's a fact. So Long Island, come out, support, be ready, support each other, and that's what this platform, like I said at the beginning, that's what we want to do. We want to be able to provide a platform to
no, that's dope.
to support,
I respect that.
to support the artists, entrepreneurs, DJs, producers, clothing designers that are from from the island and give them a platform where we can find out about who they are, how they get started, what they're doing, and hopefully, you know, provide this media outlet that tells more people about, you know, who they are and what they're doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Much
So,
appreciated.
Miss Aisha Hall, Pink Panther Click, Strong Island, Exit 21, author, MC, just overall businesswoman and hustler. I thank you for coming out.
Yes,
Thank you for coming out.
Direct deposit. That's a
Aight.
good name too, because that has to deal with money. So you know, once you said direct deposit, I was like, I'm.
Oh, okay. We'll find out where the money's at. Listen, like, subscribe, tell a friend, direct deposit. We here.